Welcome again to Bosch with Brian, and today what I thought we'd do is do a head-to-head, because we've got enough of the gear, to show you measuring in instruments. We're going to do more head-to-heads, and if you'd like to see those, don't forget to subscribe or ring the bell below. But let's get straight into it and talk about the laser devices I've got on offer. First of all, we've set up a bench here where we've measured off with the tape measure. Don't need to show you what the measure is, but what we're looking for is consistency of all of the units. I'm going to show you one of the tools that I had in my toolbox for some time, bought it some long time ago. It's a laser, it's often described as a laser measuring device. What actually happens is the laser tells you when you're on your target, but it's actually using sonic waves. Now, when we use it on this bench, it will seem to be accurate because the distance is small. But I've learned not to trust these. They're cheap, about a tenner each. I really would steer you away from these sonic devices for anything that needs accuracy. That having been said, some long time ago, I also bought a Bosch laser. Now this one is said it's for 40 meters. It uses a standard battery. It's good. It's good. 40 meters is quite a lot for most people.
30.
It's about £65 these days. Looks a bit dated. And then I got tempted because I can never find any of my tools, so I always have more than one. I bought the newer Bosch. This one is an 80 meter version. It's got more functions on it, and we'll talk more about functions in a moment. But it has charging from your computer using a cable. It doesn't have batteries in it, so quite useful in that context. But the newest on the market is the Huepar. I'm hoping I'm expressing that accurately. This one is 100 meters. It does a 50 meter one, and it does 120 meter one. But the price of this is just £36 from Amazon. Now I'm going to show you these compared to each other, and I think by the end of it you'll be quite impressed with this. So let me get it out of this box just to show you what it looks like. And there you go. And this one too has got USB charging. So that's quite useful using lithium-ion battery technology. USB charging is the way to go, I should think. Right, so let's have a look at all of these. I'm going to bring them to the bench one by one, and what we'll see is that they all measure quite accurately the distance that the tape measure will offer me. The tape measurement. So to get our starting point, we're going to use a tape measure, our one and only truly loved measuring device, and you can see that it's at 1662. The problem always with tapes like this is you've got to try and get to the end, and all right, this is 1.5 meters. Laser goes much further, and the tape measure is not the best option in those cases. First of all, I'm going to show you the sonic version. It's got an odd shape. It's probably good for ergonomics and so on, but it's not necessarily good for laying flat on a flat surface or to the side. So there's a little bit of guesswork as to where the end is and where the angles are and so on. But let's see what it does. And at the moment, we got 167, and that's basically because we can't line that up because of its shape. We've already binned it as an idea. Sonic measures are a definite no-no. So we go on to the Bosch 30 metre. I described it earlier on as a 40 metre. It's actually a 30 metre. It's got a little bit of a bulge on the side, which sometimes means when we're lining it up to the side it's not as good, but it is straighter at the back. And what we've got now is it's set in position, and we'll measure, and what do we get? We get 1662, same as the tape measure. So now we go on to the smarter, newer Bosch version. This one's squarer, both bottom, side and back, and it is easier to line up in position, and when we measure this time we come up with 1662 straight away. Easier to set onto the test bench. Now we're going to show you the Huepar, and it's squarer like the Bosch. Should be easier to set on our test bench, and we'll line it up in position and take our test measurement, and we get 1.662. So 1.662 is confirmed with the tape measure and at least 3 lasers now. One of the features that I would like a laser measuring device to have is created by the need I have when I'm up a ladder trying to set ceiling lights at an equal distance from the wall. I know what the first one's set at, and I want to mark where the next one's got to go. And to do that, I just have to keep measure, move it, measure, move it, measure, move it. And I've always wanted one of these laser devices to show a continuous measurement. You watch this. So there's a measurement, and now you can see it moving as we go along. And that means without me having to take constant measurements, I can set it to the length that I need. Mark the back of the device, and there I am set. Now, let's go to the Bosch and see if the Bosch can do that. So we take our measurement, and we can hold it longer like we did the other one, and we can see if we get a measurement up. No, it keeps zeroing every time we push the button. It doesn't hold the number, and it certainly doesn't allow us to slide it along and for it to change. We're going to look at the 2 front runners now, which is the Bosch and the Huepar, and as you can see they look not dissimilar to each other. The Huepar perhaps shows more information on its screen. For example, it shows angle all the time. The Bosch will switch it on, but like all electronic devices, both have lots of features. In terms of physical dimensions, slightly thicker with the Bosch, not that that's necessarily a drawback, and if we have a look at the back of it, you can see that both can be camera mounted, and the USB function on the Bosch is of the slightly older style, whereas the Huepar is using the new micro USB port in the side here. Both units have a button on the front which enables you to measure from various parts of the casing. The front, the tripod mount, and you'll notice that on the Huepar it's got a standard tripod mount screw, whereas the Bosch has a different one and is not standard. You can measure from the back, and on the Bosch you have this lift off and flip over extra measuring device which gives you a measuring potential of another 40 millimeters, say, into a hole, and by pushing the correct button at the front it will add the 40 mil on for you. Both devices have an angle measuring device, which is very useful when you're trying to set up angles, for example, when you're installing a staircase or something of that sort. The Huepar shows it pretty well all the time. The Bosch include it as part of a range of functions for its measuring device, which, to be fair, since I've had it, I've forgotten how to read it, and I don't carry sets of instructions around with these things. They have to be intuitive to use. So although the Bosch has got more functions, I'm not sure that that's a help. So here's our head-to-head finished, and what do we think? Well, the first thing about the Huepar that I absolutely loved was the ability for continuous measurement. You saw that using when I'm up a ladder looking to position lights. That has got me every time. The Bosch doesn't have that function. The ability to measure angles is switched on all the time on the Huepar. You can use it on the Bosch, but you're more likely to use it if it's on screen all the time. The price point of the Huepar is infinitely better. You can have 5 of them for the Bosch version, and I think there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't choose the Huepar, even though you might find the name new to you. You'd use it quite often in your toolbox, and I've got no hesitation in recommending that you buy it. So thank you again for watching Budget with Brian. We're on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. You can see the link below to Amazon, so you know where to buy it, the Huepar. And don't forget, if you've got any comments, we'd welcome them, particularly if you think I've not covered all of the features that you use on the Bosch.